$5,000. This is the Mustang Dark Horse.
And this is the M4 Competition.
The line between these two cars is getting really blurry.
Mustang fans are supposed to hate BMW.
But they really shouldn't. Besides, the Mustang has a surprising connection to the German car industry. And the Japanese car industry, too. The Mustang has always been a big deal. But now it's a big deal for all car fans. How on earth did we wind up with a Mustang and an M4 as direct competitors? I bet you're wondering why an episode on the Ford Mustang Dark Horse has a Volkswagen Fox in it, and a Boss 302, and a Ford Probe, and a Fox-Body Mustang, and an E30 M3, and the original Mustang. Isn't it obvious? Hey, Derek. Has anyone seen Randy Pobst? This video is brought to you by the Hagerty Drivers Club, which includes a subscription to our award-winning magazine, 24/7 flatbed roadside assistance, and far more. Join or get more info at the link below. This is the 7th generation S650 Mustang. And this one has a performance package on it called the Dark Horse. Dark Horse isn't just a made-up name or just a bangin' Katy Perry song. It's actually in the dictionary, and Dark Horse means a competitor who isn't expected to do well, but wins. So, my cynical question is, if the Mach 1 Mustang never hit the speed of sound, and a Mustang bullet was never shot out of a gun, is Dark Horse just another meaningless marketing term? Absolutely not! You drive one of these, and you will not think so either. This is new base Mustang GT. The star of the show is still the 5-liter V8. This thing makes 500 horsepower, at least in the Dark Horse version, breathing through twin throttle bodies. And it's got beefed up internals, including forged con rods from the old supercharged Shelby GT500. It is a Detroit gospel choir in a world full of 500cc per cylinder turbocharged Dysons. It is illicit. If it's not actually illegal, well, it probably should be. This isn't a hollow appearance package. The Dark Horse is a new name for the ultimate track version of the Mustang GT. Like the Mach 1 and Boss 302 that came before it, it's got a couple extra horsepower, but it's actually a handling package. It has Pirelli Trofeo RS tires, which you'll only find on a Pagani. It has magneto-rheological shocks like you'll find on a Ferrari. It has a steel version of the brakes used by the Maserati MC20. This is big league shit, kids.
Mustangs don't usually work this way. If we take a few minutes to look back at the Mustang's 60-year history, we'll see that each new generation of Mustang has started out tepid. This Mustang has come out swinging.
To explain why, we need to have a little bit of a grown-up chat. Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and a silly little thing called deception.
I'm riding my luck, I'm taking my chances. With all the odds in my favor, I'll lay my money down if Lady Luck is in town.
I'm so sorry to tell you this, kids. I've been waiting until you were old enough to hear the truth. But the original Mustang was a bit of a ruse, a trick, a marketing stunt, pulled off by one of the best professional BS artists to ever make the automotive world a better place.
Lee Iacocca's storied career was littered with success after success, thanks to him knowing exactly what customers wanted and how to give it to them at a price they could afford, even if the car wasn't actually what it looked like.
While he was Ford's general manager in the early 1960s, Lee Iacocca was doing a lot of things, including successfully convincing Ford's CEO to try to buy Ferrari. But he also wanted Ford to have a sports car of its own, or at least something that resembled a sports car.
Iacocca took Ford's first ever compact car, which had no sporting pretense whatsoever.
And this is a Falcon. It's America's lowest priced 6-passenger car.
And he had the team design a new body for it. It would have a Ferrari-like long hood and short deck, bucket seats, a floor-mounted shifter, and just enough firepower to give the illusion that it was actually a sports car.
It was 1% disingenuous, but 99% genius. And most importantly, it worked. Oh my God, did it work. In fact, I can't possibly overstate the significance of the Ford Mustang. For perspective, the day the Mustang made its public debut, Ford sold more of them than Ferrari sold all of its cars combined in its first 32 years. In one day. And by the time the first model year was over, Ford sold 681,000 of these things.
That is more Mustangs than all of the cars and SUVs Dodge sold last year combined. Plus everything Chrysler sold, plus every vehicle Lincoln sold. Oh, plus Buick and everything Cadillac built. Plus everything sold by Mini, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Bentley, Lamborghini, Fiat, McLaren, Ferrari, and Rolls-Royce combined.
One car outsold every single one of those brands combined. 60 years ago, when our car market was half the size. That is an inconceivable amount of Mustangs. That was just the beginning. The Mustang was replaced by the Mustang II, and if you've heard anyone talk about it, they were probably complaining that it was too small, or it was too slow, or it was too not beautiful. But just like the original, the Mustang II was based on a different car, except this time it wasn't based on a compact, it was based on a subcompact, the Pinto.
And guess what? The newer, smaller, more efficient Mustang arrived just in time for the first energy crisis. Its base engine was not a V8. It was not a 6-cylinder even. It was a 4-cylinder.
The timing was perfect. The miserly Mustang II was an ideal match for the fuel shortages and never-before-seen gas prices. As an example of how to continue to sell cars in bad times, that was a poster child. Ford sold more than 1 million of them. And when the world started to return to normal, Ford had a new Mustang up its sleeve. In 1979, the third-gen Mustang began gradually bringing back the performance that was lost in the emissions-choked era of malaise. Terrible penalty box. Oh, what a noise! The Fox-Body Mustang became an instant icon. It looked beastly, and it had all of the balls to back that up. 4.9 of them, 1 per liter of displacement, just 1 decibel short of the lying 5.0 badge on the front fender.
The 5.0 was a soundtrack of 1980s youth. You heard them everywhere, usually accompanied by squealing tires and giggling from the hot cheerleader in the passenger seat. The coolest dudes all drove 5.0s. The car matched the dumb jock vibe because it was fast and cheap.
So were the Mustangs.
Fast, yes, but they were no sports cars, with prehistoric live-axle rear suspension and drum brakes back there. For the third time in a row, the Mustang shared its underpinnings with more pedestrian cars. But for the first time, those underpinnings were designed to be sold around the world. That change happened for a strange reason.
A bunch of European Ford executives had wound up in key positions at Ford of North America, and they wanted a new car to compete with a European compact that had just burst onto the scene and won the European Car of the Year award. It had captured everyone's attention with its elegant engineering and lightweight construction. And that amazing little car was sold in America as the Volkswagen Dasher and Audi Fox. This was the target for Ford's new compact that those Euro executives were all drooling over. And the team that was charged with making the platform to underpin the Audi Fox competitor, well, they just called it the Fox platform. That is a 1988 Volkswagen Fox. It is a direct descendant of the original B1-chassis Audi Fox, and that car was sold here in America at the same time as the Fox-Body Mustang. These two cars have a lot in common, including an engine that's mounted longitudinally and having an engine.
Meanwhile, in Germany, BMW had just box-flared the best sports sedan in the world and set the planet on M-fire.
The 5.0 and the M3 were in showrooms at the same time, but it's safe to say no one cross-shopped them.
The M3 cost literally 3 times as much. It had all of the touring car pedigree. It was technically advanced. It was lightweight. It had a little high-revving engine in it. And a yuppie behind the wheel.
Only aim for perfection. Ain't no half-stepping. I'm gonna take you back. Spitting facts, you gotta live with that.
M3 to 60 by more than half a second, and then tied its 140 mile an hour top speed. And then outbraked the M3. And then outgripped the BMW on the skid pad for good measure.
Not bad for a Mustang built on a platform inspired by the Fox that underpinned everything from a Fairmont to the Lincoln Continental Mark VII. This platform became more than 15 different cars, not a single performance car among them.
Except the Mustang. It could put down the numbers, but it lacked any bit of finesse whatsoever. It couldn't possibly have been any more different than an E30 M3. Or so we thought, because when it came time to retire the Fox platform, Ford showed us what the opposite of M3 really meant.
Wrong wheel drive?
Well, front wheel drive technically, Randy.
That is wrong wheel drive. Are you kidding me, you son of a rainbow? You can't have any fun in a front wheel drive car.
Really?
I don't like these smells. I don't like being the passenger for this stuff. Holy crap. There is seriously something wrong with you, Jason.
I know, right? But there's nothing wrong with this car. It's actually kind of rad.
But it is not any Mustang.
No, it's not a Mustang. You know that, I know that, but a bunch of brain-dead execs at Ford didn't seem to know that. Mustang means something to people.
Yeah, it means V8.
Yep.
It means rear drive.
Yep.
Redneck at the wheel.
Uh-huh. Ford wants to turn the Mustang into a CRX.
A Mustang is not a Honda.
Yeah, but this one's a Mazda. Literally, it's a 626. They just took the 626 and put a sporty body on it.
Yeah, see that understeer? I told you you could not have fun in a front-wheel drive.
This is not understeer, is it?
I don't know what this is. I think something broke.
Oh no!
Yeah, I think we broke an axle.
Shit! Randy, I appreciate your enthusiasm because it matched that of the Mustang buying public. They were ripshit. They stormed dealerships and bought all the old Fox bodies before they went out of production. And they wrote letters, Randy. They wrote thousands and thousands of letters demanding a rear-wheel drive Mustang. Are you done yet?
No.
Oh, would you calm down? This never happened. Ford pulled its head out of its ass at the last minute and renamed this the Probe.
The sad part was that the Probe was good looking, handled well, and Ford sold a ton of them. But Ford forgot that the name Mustang wasn't compatible with a front-wheel drive sport coupe. And it's worth pointing out that all of the front-wheel drive sports coupes of the day are all dead, along with the Probe.
But the Mustang lives on. And that's because Ford recognized what it had and did an emergency update to the Fox platform, resulting in the once again successful SN95.
It looked very different from the Fox-Body, but it was effectively the same car underneath. And it was the same formula: solid axle, good looks, cheap speed. It gave the Fox platform another 11 years and 1.7 million sales before being replaced by the S197, the fifth Mustang, and the fifth time the Mustang was based on something it wasn't.
But this time it wasn't something slow and cheap. It took a big step towards the BMW M3. Because like the BMW, the S197 was based on a luxury car.
This Mustang shared its basic design with the Lincoln LS and Jaguar S-Type, though it stuck with that good old solid rear axle just to save a buck. As long as the road was smooth, it worked. A couple of years later, BMW took a step closer to the Mustang GT when the M3 got a V8. Now just 2 horsepower apart, this is where Mustang and M3 converged.
And this is where the Mustang took the lead. Yeah! was a 444 horsepower punch right to the BMW M3's face.
Are you ready?
With enough revs, tires, and suspension to beat the Bimmer around a racetrack. Oh man, that's a noise! Oh my God! It had a separate key for track use that made it idle like a cammed small block. It had side exhaust cutouts from the factory. But this wasn't about gimmicks, and it wasn't about individual performance metrics. The Boss had a total performance envelope that let a Mustang beat an M car for the first time around a track.
And then in 2015, Ford gave the Mustang a gift that BMW has never given the M3 and never will: its own platform. The S550 was a Mustang underneath for the first time ever, and a fully modern one with independent rear suspension, finally.
At first, it was a little too soft and a lot too quiet, but giving the Mustang its own chassis really started to pay dividends the harder that Ford pushed it.
The S550 achieved hero status with the GT350 and its flat-plane crank 8,200 RPM V8 and magneto-rheological shocks. And then came the GT500, a 760 horsepower full-envelope sports car so unbelievably good that it didn't blow away BMW M3s. It was as fast as a Porsche 911 GT3 RS.
Around this very track, in fact. You want to talk about a dark horse? That was a flaming orange dark horse. And so the question of the day, of course, is, did any of that special Shelby sauce make it into this Mustang? The grip from these tires is just ridiculous. But the crazy part is that the magneto-rheological shocks make it all accessible and manageable. It's just so stable. Rotate around, look at that. Curb, hold on, curb. Nope, didn't care. This thing has a sense of humor, and that's so rare these days. Look, we all hate computer-controlled everything because the computer-controlled everything has been put there to take away the fun. Not this thing. There are a bunch of nerdy, boring benefits to having an electronic parking brake. The engineers at Ford, they made it a drift brake. I mean, who approved this thing? This car is a juvenile delinquent in a world full of grown-ups.
Us grown-ups don't need no drift brake to get a rear drive car sideways. M4's got so much power, I can drift it on command. Got it. It is hooked up. Man, did BMW finally get the chassis tuning right? This automatic's doing everything I want it to do. There's no noticeable turbo lag on track. There's no way this thing's making only 500 horse. I'm leaving that Mustang for dead on the straight. Ha! In a surprising twist, the BMW is the straight line car, and the flippin' Mustang is the hot number in the corners. This new M4 is a wonderful driver's car, way better than the previous gen M3, M4. Huge improvement. I am not sure which one is going to be quicker. It's going to be really close.
Randy wasn't wrong. on a clean, fast lap with new tires and an SCCA legend at the wheel, just 1/10 of a second separates them in a lap around Chuckwalla, a virtual tie. The BMW's massive 7-mile-an-hour higher peak speed demonstrates its power advantage, but the Dark Horse more than makes up for it with tire grip. Not a bad start for the new generation Mustang.
The S650 isn't an all-new Mustang, it's an update on the old S550. The big change is in the interior, which is now a carbon copy of a BMW. It has the same 3-spoke wheel, 2-screen tombstone, vents, and button layout. In fact, they're so close to one another you can barely tell them apart. Case in point, I'm in a BMW M2 right now.
The similarities continue on the outside. The Mustang and M4 are exactly the same size. They're within 1 inch in length, width, and height. And they weigh within 100 pounds of each other. And they have exactly the same horsepower, plus or minus 1 push lawnmower. But look at the roof lines. These cars are basically identical, which is crazy to think that 2 cars that used to be polar opposites, think E30 M3 and Fox-Body, have now morphed into the same car. Out in the world, the M4 actually suffers a little bit because of its luxury car underpinnings. I know that sounds strange, but if your supposed sports car has no choice but to make the stereo speakers go wow, wow, wow to fake an engine noise, well then it's the wrong car underneath. The Mustang no longer has that problem. This is a Mustang underneath. And it was clearly engineered by people who don't take a train to work every day. Ford's engineers clearly lived with this thing. It's obvious from the well-thought-out features like the ability to start it in quiet mode, but also the ability to program it to automatically start in quiet mode between whatever hours you want. So you get to have a loud-ass Mustang without your neighbors hating you. Is it perfect? No, of course not. But other than a laggy infotainment system, none of its flaws are the kind of things that are going to offend the people who are meant to buy this. And that's really important, because in a world where we have to look at the steering wheel badge to figure out which undifferentiated blob we're driving, the Mustang still has an identity. Sure, it'd probably be quicker with a twin-turbo 6-cylinder, but that would be making the same mistake everybody else makes. Mustang and M3 were once vastly different things, but now they're just 2 different versions of the same idea, except that while the M4 is still based on another car, the Mustang is its very own thing. From a ruse to a bimmer beater. Who would have ever thought a Mustang would be a more charismatic, better performing take on BMW's own M recipe? Dark Horse, indeed.